everybody, my name is Jess and I am Associate Director at Dundee Rep and Scottish Dance Theatre in the Engage department, and I'm also mother to three little boys. One is called Freddie, who is 6 years old. I also have Wilbur, who is four, just turned four, and I have Stanley, who has just turned one. Yes.
Hi, I'm Tashi and I am also Associate Director in the Engage department at Dundee Rep and Scottish Dance Theatre. And I am mother to Poppy, who is 3, almost 4, and Ezra, who was born 6 weeks ago on maternity leave.
And hi, I'm Aya. I'm just in time. Someone too. This is Hannah, my daughter, 14 months. I'm a movement artist, dance artist, and I currently work for Barawan Ballet as an associate artist and Tricky Hat project production, as also movement artist too. Usually I work with various fields of movement and research performance maker, and often work with galleries and inclusive companies and stuff. For me, it was this question when I was getting a visitor. She was my friend and came to see us when Hannah was really young. And because I'm a single parent and I work all the time, I think I started working about Hannah was 2 months old, just slowly, not kind of full time. And I was trying to figure out lots of motherhood schedule as well as work schedule. It was very stretched. And I was, obviously learning as a first-time mum and felt like I haven't considered about myself at all, what I was wearing, what I was eating, what I was doing, just to, really considered about Hannah's, very beginning of the life and trying to balance that with financial side and the work, continuous work. And then this question came out, and how about Hannah, this question, very 3 words, very simple, how about Hannah? But I just realized some people see me as a working mom. People maybe think I less care about child. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it just really stayed with me, quite shocked. And yeah, that was something stayed with me. Comment from someone else. Yeah, thanks.
I think for me, I could really understand a lot of what you're saying, Aya, and I already feel quite emotional just to you kicking us off. But I think I always remember someone talking to me about the idea of not trying to be perfect, and I think just trying to be human, own your humanness to your children. So for me, I've always tried to narrate, even last night when in the middle of the night, I was staying in this Airbnb because it's school holidays, and I'm staying in one room with 2 kids, and Chris is staying in one room with 1 kid, and the two older boys were in a bed together, and one of them was kicking the other one, and I just lost my temper in the middle of the night, and I was like, oh, and then I had to be this morning I was like, I'm really sorry about last night. I feel like I was very tired. I've been working really hard. I'm feeling a little bit and I just had to try and just say thing. So just try to be human. That's the one thing that that someone told me to try, and that I've kind of kept hold of, I guess.
I think, and I can't remember if this was my mum that said it or someone else that said it, but I think someone said to me, when you have a child, you know a little bit of how your own parents feel about you. Mm-hmm. And I think I was really overwhelmed by that when I first had Poppy, because I realised how much my own parents loved me. And I don't know if that's that's not necessarily always true for everyone, but I that comment and also made me feel really guilty about my teenage years and what I put them through.
Probably might get you back.
I think she already is.
Oh yeah, it's funny that thing is that people tell you because you just kind of don't always like. You're like yeah, and then like when it happens, it's actually kind of more than words in a way. Like your sort of understanding of those things.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think we often, when we make art, we often talk about like what are the things. How do you say the things that you can't say in words? So how do you dance them, or how do you create a visual image from them? The things that are the unspeakable things. Yeah. And I think I definitely felt a lot of that when I first had Poppy. And obviously Ezra too, but I think when I first had Poppy, I'd never felt them before. So
beyond the words, yeah.
But I like that thing that you said, Aya, of like how is Anna?
How about Hannah?
Yeah, how about Hannah? Yeah, totally. And that word stretched, I feel like I get that word. I feel like I need it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, we should all have that. We should have a
hashtag stretched. But yeah, I mean, especially in these COVID times, like the idea of working at home, doing all that thing that you would usually have done like at home and also out with in the community, and then just having all that time and just in the house, just staying at home, put a very particular kind of pressure.
Yeah. There's something really interesting also about working with, I suppose, with inclusive companies and with participants, which means that you give a lot of your energy out, and I think I also receive a lot of positive energy back as well.
Yeah.
And I think I certainly have noticed that my kind of cup is often less full when I get home, and sometimes I'm at the end, a bit at the end of my tether about things, and that's not always fair on the children, essentially.
Definitely. Yeah, I work with intergenerational company of Wolfpack, and some of them were granny, some of them had their children 40 years ago, then they have children and grandchildren, and so it gave me lots of tips, which is lovely, lots of lovely presents. So, yeah, that's really wonderful. Nice. It was quite tricky to come back after having a baby. Yeah.
The thing that I found the hardest about parenting during lockdown was the fact that I was starting a new job and meeting new colleagues online, at the same time as trying to make sure that my daughter was having like a nice with me and Harry, and she doesn't have any, at that point she didn't have any siblings, and so we had to kind of, so I had to really go between like really the imaginative play and quite serious meetings with people that didn't know me yet very well. So I think it was the finding that balance actually I found really difficult. I think I found the days that were really rainy in March really, really hard. I found it really hard to navigate how to talk to Poppy about the coronavirus. I think her nursery had done a really brilliant job at allowing them to understand the idea of germs and washing your hands and things like that. But I do feel like she was a bit scared of it from that. And I also think at that point I was quite scared of it as well. And I think, and I remember having a conversation with my mum about the fact that it's okay to tell your children that you are scared, and it's okay to tell them that you don't have the answer to something. And it's good for children to know that adults don't always have the answer. And I think after that, I thought, okay, I can just be really natural about this. I can just be natural about what's happening. And so I think once I kind of relaxed a bit into it, and I think once I got to know everyone that I was working with a bit better, I felt all right about Poppy, Zoom bombing us in whatever costume she had on that day, because because of being by herself, she went fully into imaginative play, so she was always dressing up, and I think I was worried about that to begin with, and then actually as we got to know people, that became it, and I felt really grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, riffing off what you were talking about, Tash, because we were in a similar boat in a lot of ways, in the sense that we started a new job, and like it all happened at once. So I was coming back from maternity leave, and I started a new job, and the world went into lockdown, so the schools shut. We were supposed to be moving house. Everything kind of just came crashing, and in a way, like how do you meet new colleagues online? Um, um, how do you give your personality across on a small screen? Whilst also for me, like coming out of maternity brain and trying to kind of find my professional self again, and being insecure about that, because actually you get quite a bit of anxiety. Well, I have always had a bit of anxiety making the bridge between coming back from maternity leave and going back into work. So seeing as if like, um, like, am I making any sense? Like, is this thing like maybe the world, like maybe people are like, what are you talking about? Like, and I just had that insecurity, whilst also having like a 6-month-old baby, needing to breastfeed him quite a lot still. Like, he was still very attached. I just had to kind of like, I had to sort of say to myself, like, I want people to see me. I want to be visible as a mother in this situation. So I'm just going to have my baby on my breast while I'm talking. I'm just going to make eye contact with people. I'm not going to reference it all the time. Although sometimes I am going to reference it because it makes me human to be like, oh, here's my child, and here's my other child, and here's my other child. What I found, I mean, I actually probably feel like it was one of the hardest things in my whole life that I've ever had to like, and obviously, like, I've had lots of things happen to me in my life, but the pressure of it was tremendous, being at home with those 3 little boys all the time, and trying to also make a project happen online, and trying to, like, not apologize for myself, but just be really, and I feel in a way the adrenaline probably kept me going. But my partner was incredible, because he had to run a creche essentially outside the room. And I think the hardest thing, because the question is about the hardest thing, is like, what was like trying to not be accessible to them, like to constantly be like, can you just go, not now, like, because I don't do that as a practice really at home, be like, not now, because at home I'm usually for them, and at work I'm for other people. So to be like, no, no, and just constantly being like, I'm busy actually, like, I found that really hard. And like, I found hearing them being like, why can't I, like talking about me in the background hard. I found the uncertainty of it hard. I found the kind of the statistics hard, the kind of idea of illness hard. Like, and I feel like it was very hard for parents at home. Like, certainly for me, like, it was like really hard, and I felt like I was almost like, when talking to people on the screen, I was like, do you realize how hard this is? So hard. But also partly you'd be like, oh, here's my child, and here's my child, and oh, what are you showing people and stuff, and you'd just kind of be like trying to kind of hold it all, I suppose, for everyone, and it was exhausting, I guess. And it actually I feel quite, like, talking about it makes me feel quite triggered, because it was just so intense.
Yeah. So the word of intense is the word I would, repeat again for my lockdown too. Intense, wasn't it? And especially I would say, too many actually hard moment, but she's just gone. Rainy day, gosh, the rainy days without gardens, without massive living room for 6-month-old to grow. I was living in a very small 1-bedroom flat in south side of Glasgow. When we've got lots of options in terms of parks to go to if it's sunny, and if you come out of the house, flat, oh, there's the universe, but when it's rainy, it just felt so held and felt really stuck. Uh-huh. And yeah, she was only just started to crawling in the beginning of lockdown, and gradually, expanding her capacity, started crawling a little bit more, and started being able to reach these drawers, started being able to open these doors, and starting on, on the feet, getting into trying to climbing over the sofa, getting on the, buggy. It's just the capacity of the, yeah, one baby's development within a lockdown. My goodness, it's just really felt like I'm not giving enough space for her to, expand a bit more. So I felt a little bit guilty in a way, even though, this coronavirus is not my fault.
No.
No, but that was quite tricky. And another moment I recall was going for, weekly food shopping, and I had a baggie. And then I decided to put Hannah on the front with a sling and put the shopping basket on a my baggie. So I just keep filling stuff. And it's already my short arms were, reaching to the limit in pushing the buggy with my baby in front and going around the corner. And yeah, just everything came out of the buggy shopping basket at one point. And usually it's a moment like people around me could pick up the stuff from the floor and being able to help me. And that's I would do. But that moment, I just really felt like no one can help me. No one can touch my stuff. No one can, hold my baby while I'm picking up. It's just there's no physical support available in this very strange scenario. So that was like, wow, hard.
Yeah. I think that must, because I do think about that, like in terms of your like single parenting, like not having that other kind
Yeah.
of like just that sole like responsibility that you're talking about. I really feel it for you when you tell that story. I'm just like, oh. When I understand emotional impact of this time on me, like I think I probably will take a long time to understand it because there's some kind of holding that needs to happen still. So I feel as if I cannot fully kind of go there with like how like I sort of still like feel like I think parents maybe always have to do this thing of just holding and showing like modeling like a positivity and a hopefulness because our children need that like as well like um where you can, but not everybody can do that as well, so like but if I can, I understand that I need to keep going forwards like in that way. But when I think about the emotional impact on me, I think it's probably gonna I'll take a long time to understand it because it's been really specifically hard. um, but there's been some good things too, like so the community, like other like what we just talked about there was like not being able to be touched or anything. Like there were some beautiful moments of kindness that happened across like you know even windows, like writing stuff in windows and people writing back. And there was some neighbors which occasionally left stuff outside that we didn't predict or expect. Friends would like send things or like little things like that, which kind of reminded me of all the things that I love and need in the world. So I think there was a clarity as well that came for me, like, oh, I have always understood community to be one of the most important things, but now I'm like all the more sure that like community, creativity, connection, social action are important, and I'm going to be able to talk about that with even more clarity going forward. So the emotional impact, I think it's going to be a long time till I can fully talk about or understand it, but I do think I can pull from it what the learning has been. Maybe I think I can see that.
To me.
Anyone? Yeah, I guess.
Emotional impact. I think I feel like a kind of positive thing is that if I get through this time, we can do anything. Feels like that. So yeah, strengths. I think emotional strengths that we are building. It's like a how to exercise at the moment without getting panic. And I'm sure it'll get over at some point, you know. And that's I'm keeping in my somewhere in my brain. But also I have got some imagery about this and my emotional state usually at the moment. I feel like I had like a bowl of a vessel, and my capacity is so small. Like always, some water is filled, and if anything jump over, even just another drips of water, just kind of overflow. You know, feels like we are all carrying a lot of water in a vessel, and if some rain drips, just like I can't do it. So it feels quite close to the limitation. That's my I would say expression about the emotional state and about lockdown. Sorry, it's not really clear about that.
No, it's really clear. That image of a bowl of water is really clear. Because I think even felt that like coming onto this conversation this morning, I was like, right, yeah, I'm going to have a conversation about this thing. Yeah, really want to talk about that thing. And then, of course, when you actually sit in the conversation, like, like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I think like I don't think I realised the emotional impact until we moved house actually, and then I think I was really like keeping it together. I and I feel like there were positives and negatives anyway, but I think I was just really focusing on the positives to kind of get through. I think we had a bit of a deadline of this moving house to sort of focus on, which I think was quite helpful actually. And but when we did move house and we finally arrived here, I think I just really crashed the following week and was just absolutely I was tired like I've never been tired before. I was so exhausted from I think being on the computer the whole time. I think juggling, really, as Jess said earlier, like talking, and you were talking about not saying to the boys like go away because I'm working. Like I think you hold quite a lot of that because you're really you are you're the same person, but you are different when you're at home to when you're at work. And I think when those things collide and they're in the same space, and you're trying to juggle, I suppose, all the different versions of yourself. And all the and the emotional energy that goes into that is really exhausting. And I really kind of, I suppose, I can really see, because I am now on maternity leave, I feel how much more relaxed I am, and I understand, and I'm on Twitter I can see that a lot of people are absolutely exhausted at this point of who have, and I know that Jess, you've been working all the way through the whole thing, and it's I just feel like it must be absolute at this point, must be absolutely, you must be totally exhausted.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. I am totally exhausted. But I also throw that at you, like I think a lot about like how because you made a film, right? You made a film, and but you're on your own with Hannah. Like how did you do that?
No,
Because my stories are like, Chris, keep the kids in there just for this hour, But how did you even do that?
I know, so it's a big story. It's interesting that Hannah's been looked after by Monica over just next room. So yeah, mostly 80% of, maybe 60% of the footage are me walking the park, keeping my phone or iPad in my backpack when I just so this is something, and just film. So I was juggling even motherhood, and we like literally juggling the motherhood and work, and just trying to capture something. And always when I don't have camera or phone, much more better moments. So I kept missing. But anyway, so after Hannah goes to bed around 7-8 o'clock p.m., I sit at the desk and looking at the footage, and I don't know how long I've done that, about a month, just little by little editing, recording, and just overnight, basically from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, that was my working hours. And I have to wake up again 7 o'clock for Hannah's, So literally I was exhausted. Then Monica, I spoke to Monica, my neighbor, Paru, mother friend. She's great. She's got sort of skill in filming, so I spoke to her, and maybe would you be able to film me and Hannah in the studio? And she managed this studio called GTAC, so she actually arranged everything for us and helped us filming and gave me some feedback. So it really felt like this immediate friend, not around the world, halfway around the world. I've got lots of good friends in London, Japan, but just someone just 2 streets away can understand, come and help me and Hannah. It's just helped everything.
Earlier, I mentioned about the fact that there were positives and negatives, actually, I think, to lockdown for me as a parent. And one of the things that I've been really thinking about a lot is the fact that I was able to go to things. So I think when I first had Poppy, one of the big things that made me feel really underconfident as an artist and a parent, and was that I couldn't go to events in the same way that I used to be able to just turn up to anything. And I was freelance for 15 years before working at Dundee Rep and Scottish Dance Theatre. And so, going to things when I came back from maternity leave after having Poppy was really important. I also only had 4 months maternity leave with Poppy because of being freelance. And I think that I think I just didn't realize that the juggle and how paranoid that would make me feel, and how was I still relevant? Did I still know what was going on? And I think one of the things that I really noticed about myself was that I really relaxed in that respect during lockdown, because things like when the gift festival went online, and my partner and I were able to go to like everything across the whole weekend, and there's no way we would have been able to go to a theatre festival in Newcastle. There's and suddenly I was able to have conversations about a whole festival with my peers, and I felt like I was able to do the daily dancing with Poppy every day, and so I was able to sort of share something, this artistic experience with my daughter that I would never have been able to share before, because she would have been in nursery, I would have been at work. So I felt like there were like specific things that you could go to and share together that were much more accessible to parents actually. So I felt like that for me, that was a positive that has come out of this situation, definitely.
For me, positive side is, I think just being able to be a full-time mum in a way, even though of course I had to kind of keep that work under control. Some projects that still, online happening, but during a day, being able to wake up and have a really slow breakfast and go for a walk and pick up flowers, and just being able to spend time with my daughter Hannah. So that was wouldn't happen if I was working 4 days in a week. So that's appreciate that 6 months, huge change from beginning to end of, I mean, still kind of lockdown in Glasgow. Yeah, I wouldn't witness that development like that intensely. Full-time mom was as hard as working mom. First week already discovered that, but yeah, in that way. And I also something about this community through everyone is in the same boat, right? Everyone's struggling, everyone's just full of fear, and like really felt like I'm in a kind of in a good community. It's not right, not right way of expression, but I felt like I'm happy with this community. That's I felt like really good people around me. So it's kind of clarification or yeah, reassurance.
Mm-hmm.
That's a positive.
Yeah, I feel something similar to what you're saying there, Aya, and it's a kind of mixture of what you both have said. Like with my eldest two children, with Freddie, I went back to work at 3 months, and I found it traumatic actually. When I look back at the time, I didn't know that. I just was like, okay, no, like because I was so desperate not to fall out of the market, if you like, or that's not how I would talk about it. It feels like a capitalist term, but you know what I mean. Like I didn't want people to I didn't want to go and not be, and so and also because I had this kind of funny contract with one of my works where I kind of had to do so many months in a year, and so I came back, and it was really hard because I was sitting in like a first aid room expressing milk, and I work a lot in prisons, and I would go into prisons and I would express milk and bring it back, it was really complicated and a lot of guilt, and I felt like I missed things all the time, and I just and I mourned things like and then with Wilbur I had 6 months and I was like, okay, this is better because it wasn't so tiny, but at the same time I'm still missing things, but it was important because I was sharing it with my partner. But then with Stanley it's like I haven't missed anything. Like I've been with him the whole time, and that has been a real great thing, like of course I just feel as if we're really, yeah, we've like I like I've been trying to do all at once. But what I think is really positive in a macro, so that's a micro way. But what I think is really positive in a macro way is I think it's really shone a light on like flexible working and and like really
Yeah.
thinking about like parenting responsibilities and like how those things can exist with work. Because for a long time, a lot of workplaces would say, "Oh no, we can't have those hours flexible or whatever. Like you have to. This is what you have to do." And women have fallen out of the workplace because they found the juggle impossible, or they didn't have any support. And like now I feel like workplaces can't say that in the same way because there are people managing to do their work.
Yeah.
And although like they shouldn't have to if they don't want to, they should also have a choice. And I think that the choice is the thing that I think this I'm excited about that thing that's come from this time. Like I follow this activist on Instagram called Pregnant and Screwed, just like represents loads of women that have like basically been just screwed over by their jobs. And she's been really using this time to lobby and be like, look, like at these women who are being brilliant at home and being a parent. Like, don't reduce that like thing. So I feel like that agenda is almost like a positive thing that's come. And like for me, like, yeah, not having to deal with all that, like, who's going to look after him on Wednesday? I've got to pick him up at 5:05, and then I've got, all that stress actually that comes around your life has gone away a bit. I mean, new stress has come, but that particular thing, which I think was keeping some women back from recognizing all the things they could, that they were capable of, because these systems, as with everything, have been created to keep us small or keep us in a box. We can start to kind of go, but I did that for 6 months. Why can't I do that next week? Because it's half term. Do you know what I mean? And I think that will be a good thing for sure.
This is our lockdown. Yeah.
Oh.
As I said, Hannah wasn't walking, and she learned walk with carrying this. and
Oh.
she just goes everywhere in this new flat.
That's amazing. My object is that these headphones, because I feel like I had to spend a lot of time doing this to kind of like be in one world and then another world. But if I had to choose a different object as well, I would choose some snacks because I felt like I was constantly throwing snacks at people and then worrying about whether I should have given them too many snacks in a day.
My object is this really beautiful woodcut print that my friend David did, and this is 12 of 50, and the print is called Hold Fast, because and the reason that I've chosen it is because I feel like that's what we all had to do. We had to hold fast, and we're still holding fast. And I have it up in my living room, and yeah, there you go.
I thought it was but I didn't know that there was only 50 of them, which makes them even more special. Like, for sure. Oh, that's gorgeous.
And I should say he made it during lockdown.